going on there, guys? We back with another one, and today I want to talk a little bit about Mahmoud Abdul Rauf and Craig Hodges. They both came to the defense of Kyrie Irving, and some people specifically that they wanted to call out when they were having a conversation with Eton Thomas was Kareem Abdul Jabbar, Shaquille O'Neal, and Charles Barkley. It seems like over the past few years, Chuck and Shaq has had the most to say about Kyrie Irving, and some of it justly, but this most recent incident, he shared something that he agreed with in a documentary, and it got blown up, and they resorted to name calling him an idiot, had a lot of energy for him, but not that same energy for others, because I don't think they would even speak on Jerry Jones or anybody like that. If those topics came up, they would not have the same energy for those topics. So Craig Hodges and Mahmoud Abdul Rauf, if you aren't familiar, they stood on their beliefs so strongly that they were pushed out of the league when they still clearly had more basketball left in them. And you could see Mahmoud, he played in the Big Three years after, and he was still good as a 40-something-year-old man. He was still playing at a pretty good level. So this just goes to show how when your voice is silenced like this, they try to take your prime years away, your earning potential when you don't fall in line. And that was my problem with Shaq and Chuck, man. But here, check out what they had to say.
One of the things for me, brother, is how, whenever issues like this come up, it's amazing how, I don't know how it works. Like Charles, Shaq, do somebody come up to them and say, hey, here's the script? You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at, how can it be that when it came out, we have black people coming after the brother harder than them people. And I'm wondering, I'm like, man, is it a Kareem? And I'm like, Cap, come on, man. Come on, brother. And that part to me is just like, that's something we could never harness, to be able to go to their community and get them to speak against them. And that's the part where it's like, come on, man, how much, and we don't want to say selling out, you my brother, but at the same time, there's a clear delineation that's going on right now, man. And I think, we have to stand on those principles that got us here. I think, a lot of the bread that brothers are making, they're not seeing the historical legacy that the ancestors sacrificed for us to get there. And we're here in this vacuum bubble that, man, I got this God-given talent and it's about me, and hey, but then when you have young brothers like Kyrie, who is, taking the time to check out his history, and being able to, I think that's the beautiful part for me, man, is seeing these young brothers who are able to articulate it in a manner and they're standing courageously.
He was given the breakdown in the history of the original, the Hebrews, them being black. Look, everybody on the face of the planet with intelligence know that the original person was a black person. Mm-hmm. Right? And so all life, all of us, we come from that origin. Mm-hmm. But you also mentioned something, and this is huge for me, really huge, and it should be for a lot. The fact that it's not that they don't know this. The objective is to silence, because they don't want, you mentioned this word, they don't want to have the discussion. Why? By having the discussion, it opens up a can of worms, because when you've been holding on and monopolizing this chosen race,
yes,
right? This children, this chosen children, as if though, listen, I agree that historically you were considered that as long as you lived according to scripture.
Bingo.
You violate scripture, you can't be considered chosen. I don't care who you are, Muslim, Christian.
So, man, I went back and I remember seeing this particular issue of a Sports Illustrated back in the store when I was younger. And I found the cover. And look at Charles Barkley. The racial overtones on that cover is something out of this world. I can't believe he actually went for it. Well, yes, I can. Yes, I can. Looking at how things are playing out in 2022, I could definitely see him doing it now. But looking back on it, like, I remember cringing when I first saw it, because for the message they were trying to send, I guess they were trying to make it like, you know, he's a rebel that had to be, you know, restrained or whatever like that. And they sold him on that. But looking at that, there's no way you should let them use chains on you under no circumstance. But again, he also wore the dress, you know. So I can't say that I'm too shocked with that, but they have him breaking these chains, and they even got one around his neck. You know, that's just one of those things. I think when he saw it as a black man, he should have said no, you know, right away. It should have been offensive right off the bat, but evidently it wasn't. So to see Charles talking about Kyrie Irving and calling him an idiot, he was an idiot for taking this cover, in my opinion. You know, I know some people are going to see it different, but man, I'm all about your message and your integrity. Your integrity and your thoughts is something that shouldn't be bought. And while we talking about that crew, man, Shaq, he's always talking down on the younger players. I mean, it's one thing to give them advice, but he's coming off as the bitter old guy. You know, that's just bitter about life. Even though he's financially secure, you know, he gives back to the community. He does all of these great things, right? There's something missing, because you remember he called out Donovan Mitchell, called out Joel Embiid, which those could be taken as constructive criticisms. But Dwight Howard, who had nothing but the utmost respect for him, when he first got to Orlando, you know, he was singing Shaq's praises and stuff. And Shaq always came for him. Even, you know, everything doesn't need to go into the media. People aren't going to receive things well when you go in the media with them. If he had some concerns about Dwight's game, call Dwight on the phone. Offer to work with him. I'm sure Dwight would have took you up on the offer. But you're mad about him being called Superman, which is a fictional character. Many people in many different sports, in many different walks of life has been called Superman at different points of time. Even if you talk about like even bodybuilding or whatever, Superman is probably the second most used hero name behind the Hulk. So that's not something that belongs to you just because you wanted to call yourself Superman. Dwight Howard actually did a dunk with the cape on, and people started calling him that more than he started calling himself that. He marketed that in a dunk contest, and they started calling him that. And you're just mad because he was in Orlando at the time. And I don't know, it's something about how Orlando treated him where Shaq felt the way, like his career was inconclusive in Orlando or something, and Dwight was still in his shine. But in actuality, that's not what was happening. Dwight was just out there playing, doing what he was paid to do, and they called him that based off a dunk contest. So if you haven't already seen it, man, Dwight Howard seems to be getting a little frustrated with how Shaq is hating, and here's what he had to say.
O'Neal, Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal, Senior, whatever your name is, Shaquille. First thing I want to say is, you got to stop hating, brother. You got to stop hating. I ain't never in my life came at you about your basketball career, your family, your kids, or anything of the sort. Because there's no need to. The world is too big to hate on another man. So stop hating. I saw a video of you talking about me playing basketball in Taiwan. And I'm playing at the Lifetime Fitness League. Do not disrespect my teammates in this league and these people in Taiwan like that. That is highly disrespectful. And it's hating. And you too old to be hating. You too big to be hating. You supposed to be Superman. The original Superman. Shaquille O'Neal. The original Superman is hating? Huh? You do it. You had a whole show called Shaq and the Food. where all you did was talk about people and how they played basketball and all the things that they done ever did. You did that to all these people, and now you still hating? You're not even in the league. Man, you about to be a billionaire. Come back and show all these people that you Superman, come back and do it the right way. Ain't no need for you to hate on nobody.